me start a little bit. I grew up in Kolhapur, which is more famous for Kolhapuri chappals than anything else. I, sort of fought a lot of the taboos that, girls shouldn't do engineering, etc. I'm talking of 30 years ago, and did my engineering in electronics and telecommunications. I then worked as an engineer for 5-6 months. I don't think I was a great engineer. So I switched lanes to do my management degree in human resources and loved what I studied and joined Hindustan Unilever as a management trainee 28 years ago. And then there's been no looking back. So when I sort of reflect on my journey of 28 years, there are so many things that stand out for me. One, the first 6 years of my career, I did lots of grassroots roles. I did sales in Haryana, selling tea in Delhi and Haryana. I was the first personnel manager in a factory in the south. I learned to deal with unions. I learned about production. I lived in a village in Etah for 6 weeks, trying to understand what the average Indian consumer looks like. So in the last 28 years, when I look back, if I look at some broad generic learnings from those experiences, I think the first thing for me is to really focus on your inner game. What I mean by inner game is a sense of purpose and service. Everything you do must have a sense of purpose and service around it. Who are you in service of? Who are you making a difference to? It has to have huge learning agility. I always tell everybody, I walk around with the L around my neck. Every day I tell myself, what am I learning today? What am I learning this year? What am I learning this week? So always being open to learning, which we call learning agility. And the third is having a sense of personal resilience, because you'll have far more failures in your life than successes. And to be able to bounce back from difficult experiences, from hard decisions, and to have the personal mastery to keep your sense of purpose intact is very important. And that's what I call the inner game, a sense of purpose, learning agility, and great resilience. And it's really the inner game that matters, because you can learn new skills. Yesterday, I was learning, how to write the computer coding. Today, I'm learning more about data analytics. So what we learn changes. But if you have learning agility, you can learn different things. So that's a very big learning for me. Number one, focus on your inner game. The second thing is what I call, if it's to be, it's up to me. This is about being proactive, wanting to make change happen. Don't wait for others to tell you what to do. See the situation. It's the situational context. And there's a story that really brings this alive for me. In 2008, we were among the group that was stuck in the Taj on the night that the terrorists attacked the Taj. And it was the most difficult night of my life. A night that I wouldn't want anybody to ever experience. All night you're hiding, trying to save your life. There's debris all around you. There's gunshots. There's fear that you might never come out alive, never see your children again. So through all that, I remember the courage of a young girl, Malika Jagad, who was leading the staff who was looking after us. And she showed so much situational leadership, trying to find places for us to hide, giving us water through the night, trying to get us whatever little bits of information she could find, trying to find a place through which we could escape. And almost 12 hours of being hidden in different places, we managed to escape in the morning. And there again, she was calm and composed, guiding everybody, saying, guests first, staff next, me last. So the point of the story is, it doesn't matter if you are young, old, junior in the hierarchy, senior in the hierarchy. Leadership is situational. Leadership is seeing the context, seeing what needs to be done, and asking yourself, how can you step up to the plate and be a leader in the moment, not waiting for direction for anybody else. And I call it, if it's to be, it's up to me. And I can tell you, I have so many examples of people who are changing their country, changing their businesses, setting up new things, just with the power of believing that they can be the force for change. And in all my career, I've always looked at a messy situation and said, what can I do that can make it better? I've not looked around saying, I'm going to play victim here. I'm going to feel sad for myself. I'm going to say, look how horrible the world is. I've always looked at a messy situation and said, okay, now what can I do to fix it? What can I do to make it better? And that, if it's to be up to me, has helped me through some of these experiences. I've, whenever in my career, and the third lesson is put your hand up for difficult jobs. When we were, people said, no woman leader has yet been in night shifts in Hindustan Lever. And I said, no, why not? I'm happy to go. I'm happy to run the night shift. Let me learn what goes on there. So put your hand up for the difficult tasks. We had to bring two businesses together in 2005 or 2004, which was a big home and personal care business and foods business. And I put my hand up saying, hey, I can make that happen. I can bring both the businesses together, knowing that thousands would be impacted through the process. But put your hand up for the difficult tasks. Put your hand up for grassroots roles. How to make soap. Put your hand up to learn about manufacturing of that. Because when you do those difficult roles and you fix some of the complex problems, that's when you gain respect of people around you, that they can entrust you with difficult things and you will make it happen. When I look at the job that I do today, and I'll talk about some of our COVID experiences, again, it's nobody knows what to do. You're learning on the job. You are learning every day. You're asking people, you're being humble. It's those things that matter in a career, because you will be given different assignments, different challenges, mobilizing teams to follow you, mobilizing people to follow you. And through all that, the lessons that have stood me in good stead is focus on your inner game. Focus, always say, if it's to be, it's up to me. Don't wait for anybody else to give you direction. Believe that you are owning this business. You can do what it takes to make it better. The third is learn every day. Learn every day from people around you, because you're going to put up your hand for difficult tasks, for things that haven't been done before. And another very, very important one for me is truly listening to every voice. Yeah. Make sure you're listening to every voice around the table. Even today, when I have a meeting of 20 people, I will look around the table and I will say, what do you think, to some of the people who have not opened their mouth in the meeting? And I'll say, what do you think? Because it really matters to me that I listen to every voice around the table, that I care about every view that's expressed, and truly listen with an open mind and heart. That's what's really helped me the last 27, 28 years. And a huge sense of humility and curiosity. I really feel like I'm at the start of my career every morning. Every day I feel like, okay, here's one more mountain to climb. Let me see what it takes. It's exciting. It's learning something new. I learn something every year. I mean, right now during lockdown, I'm learning, believe it or not, Spanish. Hola. Yo hablo un poco de español. I now speak a little bit of Spanish. So always encouraging yourself to learn new things. Yeah, being open-minded, open-hearted, having that humility and curiosity, asking people questions, learning new. This is what's given me the energy and the fuel to keep going for the last 27, 28 years and loving every minute of what I've been doing the last 27, 28 years. Let me structure my thoughts around three big sort of ideas. One is, we are all in the same storm, but we are not in the same boat. I have learned that very quickly. The second is, if you care about your people will care about the business. There is no question about it, but you have to put people first in this crisis. And the third thing is, this is a moment of reimagining. This crisis has taught us that we have to reimagine a lot of things about our business, about the way we work, about what we do. So let me just pick on each of these and elaborate. Okay? We are all in the same storm, but we are in different boats. One of the things about doing my job, which is so global, and we have 160,000 people based in 190 countries, has meant that every country has been at a different phase. Every government has gone through a different phase of denial. This is nothing's going to happen to my country, it's not coming. Then through a phase of rapid response, lockdowns, do what it takes. Then through a period of rehabilitation and recovery. How do I ease? How do I have contact tracing? But every government has responded differently around the world. And therefore, it has made our job hugely complex. How do you create a set of values and principles that make sense for everybody when every boat is different in the storm? We have had to lean into medical and health infrastructure. 17 of the countries we operate in, there's no access to tests. So we had to buy 250,000 tests and donate it to governments so that other people can benefit and Unilever people can benefit from testing. We've had to convert warehouses into ICUs in Africa, in some parts of India, in some parts of Latin America. We're converting mobile trucks into ICUs because many of the places we operate in, there's not enough ICUs for the population. You know, Ecuador has 8 ICU beds for the country. I had 8 critical employees at one end. Yeah. It has meant managing through the bereavement of people. We have lost 22 Unilever people across the world to COVID. We have lost 9 people who work for us as contractors across the world. So that's a lot of teams who feel bereaved, a lot of families who feel bereaved, and managing through that has been huge. Also, keeping employee morale and engagement through all this. You know, how do you keep the 62,000 people who are working in virtual ways engaged? How do you make sure they're productive? And, you know, today I have so much data that says that our people are more productive than they've ever been. They're working harder than they've ever been. In fact, I'm worried about burnout and exhaustion because 49% of our people are working 60-hour days, day in and day out. There's no boundaries. We also know that women are disproportionately impacted. You know, women between the ages of 30 to 50, particularly in non-Western Europe economies, are struggling more because they have the whole load of looking after their families, running their households, and doing work, which seems to be exhausting and endless. And how do they balance all of this together? So we see women are more disproportionately impacted. How do you support them? We see that harassment is going up because in confined spaces, behaviors of bullying go up. Men bullying women, women bullying men, children bullying parents, all of that goes up. Some of our worst behaviors also come up in confined space. So while there's the good side of families coming together and rediscovering each other, there's also the bad side of some bad behaviors like bullying coming up. So how do you support people through this? So it's been a range of issues that I've had to deal with every day. I've never felt as stretched as I feel today and never as fulfilled because it's a humanitarian crisis and taking care of the health and well-being of people is huge on my agenda. The second thing is, if you look after your people, they will look after the business. If you take care of them, they will look after business. And one of the things we're discovering through this COVID is safe havens will stand out. Institutions and businesses that have put people first, that have said we will take care of our people, that have tried to protect jobs, that have tried to protect salaries, will stand out. People will want to work for such safe havens. Companies that have, at the first rise of a crisis, washed the hands of their people, laid off everyone, are not going to be the respected, admired companies of tomorrow. So if you put your people first, they will put the business first. And in my role, I have done everything possible to ensure that Unilever, and I'm blessed that I have a CEO and a leadership team that believes in this, have put people first. You know, whether all our meetings, and we have daily stand-up meetings, start with the health, safety, well-being of our people. Are we putting the best safety protocols in place in our manufacturing sites because we make essential products, so our factories have to run? Have we made sure our people, you know, as we're bringing back people to the workplace, that we've created a bespoke approach for every person? You know, we have 30 offices around the world that have come back, but we've done sentiment checks and ensured that every person has a work arrangement that works for them. Which means 50% of people have said, I don't want to come back to work, I want to work out of home. No problem. 50% of people have said, I want to come to the office, but no more than 1 or 2 days a week. And we've said, no problem, we'll make it work for you. And 8% of people have said, I feel very lonely and isolated. I want to come to office all 5 days a week. And we've said, no problem, we'll make that happen for you. So in everything we have done, in the way we've responded to the crisis, in the way we're bringing people back to the workplace, in the way we've run our manufacturing sites through higher standards of safety, in the way we've supported people who are critical. And at any point in time, I have 100 people critical all across Unilever, and I have 6,000 people who are sick or who have symptoms or who have been tested positive with COVID. In everything we've done, we've put people first. And by putting people first, we've ensured that the business has continued to be resilient and the business continues to do well. And the last but not the least reflection from COVID is, this is a moment, now that we are 5-6 months into it, for us to reimagine everything we have done. Yeah? It has challenged so many of our biases and assumptions. If somebody had told me that we're all going to be working from home en masse, millions and millions of people, and we're going to run the economies, the world by doing that, I would have laughed at you if you had said that to me a few months ago. But look at what we have adapted and done, because the human spirit is adaptable. So it is a moment to reimagine everything. So I would ask leaders across the world to think about reimagining work. How can work be done differently? Where remote working becomes the norm, where you can balance your life and work, where commuting is no longer an issue. You can think differently about how you return back to the workplace. How can you reimagine the workplace? Do we need these many offices? Can we look for smaller offices, but more satellite distributed offices so that people can get together more easily without having to do 2-hour commutes every day? Can we rethink the workforce? Can we think about flexible arrangements for people? Because many people have realized that 40-hour work days, 40-year careers is maybe not what they want. They want to do things differently. So this is a moment of reimagining. We must reimagine our business models. We see cocooning everywhere. We see that everything is lived online today. Entertainment, shopping, media, leisure, everything is online. So what are the business models we are reimagining for our companies that allow to leverage this everything? How are we thinking about a world where every experience is virtual? Yeah, our business is ready for that. Have we transformed our business model? No matter whether you are in financial services, in retail, and consumer goods, have you reimagined your business model? So this is also a moment of reimagination. So if I were to sort of summarize some of these learnings, I would say, 1, we are all in the same storm, but we are in different boats. So our response has to be nuanced and bespoke to every country, to every set of people. The second was put your people first. If you put your people first, they will put the business first, but put your people first in everything you think about. And last but not the least, use this golden moment of such a huge global crisis, a pandemic across the world, and use this moment. Don't waste this opportunity. Don't waste this crisis. Use this moment to reimagine work, reimagine the workplace, reimagine workforce, reimagine the ways we work, reimagine business models to respond to a consumer who has changed fundamentally because he or she is living online. Also thinking about affordability. We have to reimagine our products and services to make it affordable, because the economic crisis that comes after the social crisis and the medical crisis is going to last for years, maybe months, maybe years, who knows? So being ready for that economic crisis, where unemployment is going to loom large, where employability is going to be a challenge, where young people are going to lose jobs, all of that becomes important. First thing I must underline that the mindset of learning is as important as the skills. Yeah. Because we can create all the infrastructure in the world. I mean, we have a beautiful learning platform called Degreed, which has 2.5 million pieces of content. Yeah. And I'm sure companies, businesses, everyone has a ton of content. Just because there's a lot of learning material available doesn't mean people will learn. Yeah. So it's really important we focus on the mindset of learning. Do people approach learning? And one of the things we've done in Unilever is what we call Discover Your Purpose workshops. 100% of our workforce go through workshops where they understand what's their purpose, what's their passion, what's the sweet spot, what makes them get out of bed bouncing. There's some things in your job you do where your eyes will sparkle, and there's some things in your job you do which you do because you have to, but you don't really enjoy it. So we help people go through these workshops to understand their purpose and passion. And what that does is when you know what you're passionate about and what you're purposeful about, it becomes much easier to learn. It becomes much easier to learn and borrow all these content. So for example, I'm very passionate about inclusion, and you could give me material at 12 o'clock in the night on inclusion. I will still sit with full energy and read it because I'm excited about it. I want to know more. It intrigues me. That's the thing about learning. Things you're passionate and purposeful about make sense to all. Why I say that is, while I can say the skills that are important for the future, you have to think about your own purpose. You can't just do data science because the world wants data science if you're not passionate about it or have no love for mathematics at all. Yeah. I can tell you, go and learn Python programming because it's the most popular thing to learn, but you're not going to learn it if it doesn't make your heart sing. So that's why I say it's important to think about mindset and skills. What am I passionate about? What's my purpose? What gets me out of bed? What is the subject nobody has to push me to learn because I learn? Yeah. And that then will give you a chance to look at the skills that make sense to you. Yeah. If you look at the jobs that are going to be created in the future, because we know a lot of jobs are going to go, repetitive jobs are going to be, technology and automation is going to come, is coming, has come. Everything. So lots of jobs are going to get digitized and remote. So the skills that are important in the new jobs that come up are things like data science and data analytics for sure. It is things like being able to understand computer science. You may not be a programmer or coding, but understanding the science behind it. Things like everything to do with cybersecurity, cyber safety, what it takes, all of that is going to be important. The skills of creativity and complex problem solving are going to be important because the simple stuff machines can do, but the complex problem solving machines can't do. Creativity is going to become very, very important because that's something machines can't do. And interdisciplinary approaches are going to be very important. How do you bring science and art together? How do you bring biology and engineering together? How do you bring the creativity of advertising with the science of data together? It's all of that that's going to be important. Multidisciplinary approaches are going to be important. So I jokingly tell my team that 27 years into my career, I've finally gotten relevant because I bring the head and the heart together, because my engineering has given me all this numeracy, data orientation, my problem solving skills, and my HR has given me empathy, compassion, understanding people. So I always joke with my team that 27 years into my career, I've become so relevant because this is the era of bringing the head and the heart together. You need the power of data and you need the power of human. And bringing head and heart together is going to be a hallmark of the next few decades. I always say the era of the future is more about hearts than heads. While this next 10, 20 years, you still need the head and the heart both together. Over time, it will be more heart and less head. Now, let me just, maybe share a story that makes it alive. What do I mean by the era of hearts? IBM has Watson, this sort of machine that does all this fabulous AI stuff for you. And they gave it to 900 oncologist cancer specialists to access. So all of them had access to Watson. Watson does massive data crunching for you. Everything you want to know about past patients, pattern recognition of all the cancer that you're hoping to treat, analysis of hundreds and thousands and millions of patients. So fantastic. All the doctors had access to the same data, same theories, same pattern recognition, etc. But only 3 of the 900 were more successful than others in analyzing and curing. They had a better track record of curing. And when they studied what the difference was, they realized the difference was that these 3 had better skills of empathy, compassion. They really listened to their patients. They understood what was said and what was unsaid, what was tacit. And they were therefore able to use all this fabulous data, machinery, tools, technology, new science they had at their fingertips, but apply it with empathy and compassion in a relevant way to the patient. Yeah? That's what I mean by era of hearts. We're moving from hands in the industrial age when we used our hands for everything. Then came mass industrialization. We no longer needed to use our hands to make everything. Then came the era of heads, knowledge, who knew the best, who knew your everything. And now Google knows the answer to everything. So it's hearts. It's your creativity, your compassion, your empathy that's going to make a difference. So in summary, what I would say is focus on your mindset of learning. Focus on your purpose and passion because you will learn better in areas you're passionate and better about. Look at all the skills to do with data, cyber, computers, technology. All of that is going to be important. But most importantly is going to be the combination of creativity, multidisciplinary approaches, and empathy, compassion, bringing that with the power of data, bringing the head and the heart together. the mind and the heart together. That's what's going to be the hallmark of the next decade or two. I'm so proud of us as a company because we are 50-50, gender balanced. And even Hindustani Unilever is, I think, 40% or 43% women. Fantastic. Yeah? So not just globally, we've done it in country after country that we operate in. Yeah. And what is really pleasing for me is that we've done it in every country where we are way ahead of the social norms. So if the social norms are 10 or 20%, our company in that country, Unilever in that country, will be twice that of the social norm. Doesn't matter which country you go to. So I'm really proud of that. And we've done it across all functions. It's not that we've said, oh, let's get gender balance in marketing or human resources because it's easier to find talented women. We have done this across all functions, which means supply chain, which means engineering, which means people running our factories, which means people in our sales, across all functions. So I'm really, really proud of how far we've come. So let me share a little bit about what we've done. Yeah. And I call it building the house of gender balance. Yeah. You have to start with the foundation. You have to start with the foundation because senior leadership commitment is really important. It's not enough to say, oh, I believe in gender balance. Words count for nothing. People look at the action. Yeah. So really, really important to start with a foundation and helping leaders understand the business case for why women are good for business. Yeah. I used to get angry when people used to say, write a business case for women in business, because I used to say, there's no business case for men in business. Why do we have to write one for women in business? But what I realized that people don't do things if they think it's just because it's the right thing to do. No leader does things because they think it's the right thing to do. They do things if they think it's going to lead to better growth, it's going to lead to lower costs, it's going to lead to more successful breakthrough innovation, it's going to lead to a better business. So you have to explain to them the story of why having a diverse team at the top improves innovation and improves growth. You have to tell them story of education, where women are increasingly getting the best ranks, the highest rated. How can all these talented, intelligent women just disappear? They're doing incredibly well. They're all the rank holders in colleges and schools. How can we not look at them for our talent? So you've got to set the foundation. The second is setting the frames, which is setting the right targets. You know, we use data a lot. So for example, we have something called a gender appointment ratio, which is simple. Every leader gets a scorecard of the last 5 years, how many appointments they made in their patch. And I'm talking senior leaders, the top 500 leaders for Unilever. How many appointments they made in their patch. And at these levels, you're probably making 100, 200, 300, 400 appointments in a year. And how many times you appointed a man, how many times you appointed a woman. The ideal gender appointment ratio is 1. You must be appointing as many men as you're appointing women. And that data really hits you hard because it's your data. It's not hiding under we all tried and nothing happened. It tells you you had the opportunity to make 500 appointments in the last 5 years and 0 times you've appointed a woman. What does that say about you? Yeah. And there's no judgment. The scorecard just arrives in your mailbox once in 6 months and tells you, hey, this is how you did on your gender appointment ratio. Then it makes you think, oh my God, I had 500 opportunities and I didn't do anything very much with it. So we set targets that are very focused on the hotspots. We don't give everybody targets. We just give the scorecard once in 6 months to the senior leaders, and we look at the hotspots, supply chain, customer development, where we set very, very specific targets that you must try and move your gender balance by X% in that hotspot. Yeah. You have to hold leaders accountable. Yeah. If a leader doesn't deliver top line or bottom line, we really give them a hard time. Yeah. Shareholders give them a hard time. Chairmen give them a hard time. The world gives them a hard time. But nobody gives a hard time to a CEO if he or she has consistently missed improving the gender balance in their business. You have to hold leaders accountable. Yeah. As senior, we hold leaders accountable. We don't just look at their commitment, we see their action. Did they make the appointments? The third thing is fixing the roof. Yeah. You have to set a governance system. You have to set a governance system, which is we have a global diversity board, which consists of very senior leaders chaired by the CEO, where we look at all this data across the world. You've got to ensure you're reporting on it. Every year we produce an external report on diversity and inclusion. How did we do? What you have to make external commitments. We said we will improve the right skills and opportunities for 5 million women across the world, because you have to set your house in order and try to make the world a better place. We have, so you have to put every month for the last 10 years, a report comes to the leadership executive every month without a break that tells what is the progress on numbers, what is the progress on culture. Just simple 2-pager that is tabled every month for the last 10 years. That's the intensity and relentlessness of focus and commitment you've got to put. The fourth thing is fixing the utilities inside the house. This is everything you need to do to make your organization friendly for men and women. We know that when the career ladder is taking up is the same time that men and women have increased responsibilities at home. They have young children, they have old parents, they have caregiving responsibilities, they have so much mental overload and physical overload in addition to work overload. So you have to make it easy for them for those years of their life. So we have a suite of options for men and women, because I always believe it's as hard for men as it is for women. So daycare centers, job sharing opportunities, flexible jobs, project opportunities. You have to have a suite of options for men and women to be able to exercise flexibility in the 5 or 10 years of their life when they feel like they're drowning, because the responsibilities at work are a lot and the responsibilities at home are a lot. So you have to do that. And that's what I call fixing all the utilities inside the house. And last but not the least is the bit of painting, landscaping. You have to shape the thought leadership in this area, because not too many companies have been successful. The ones that are able to make a difference have to landscape, have to tell others how to do this. Yeah, I'm always ready to talk to leadership teams, businesses, journalists, whoever wants to talk to me about how to make this happen, because you have to spread the word. You have to let others know it's possible to do. Yeah? But if I were to underline the top 2 or 3 things, so building the house of gender balance, and it's an easy way to remember. Foundation, put the frames, build the walls, put the roof, put your governance, put all the utilities, all the policies, progressive policies and practices that allow for men and women to balance their lives. And last but not the least, paint, landscape, make sure you tell the story to others. Makes your house look pretty, make your gardens look beautiful, tell everyone the story. But if I were to sort of underline 2 or 3 big things, one is leadership commitment is key. Just talking about it is not good enough. You have to make the appointments as a leader. You have to take the risk sometimes, because you might find a talented woman who doesn't tick all the boxes on experience, but you have to take the risk and say, I'm going to support her to succeed. So you have to have leadership commitment. The second is you have to focus on numbers and culture. You have to, we have things like balance slates, which means for every recruiter, if they bring a list which is less than 50-50 balance, we don't pay them. We say, you bring a list that's 50-50, then we'll pay you. Then we'll make an appointment based on merit, but you have to bring balance slates. So focus on numbers and culture. You have to make the appointment. You have to focus on culture. So we run unstereotyped workshops inside the company and outside the company to break the norms and stereotypes. We've already committed that 100% of our advertising will be free from stereotypes, because stereotypes hold you back. If you always show the woman doing the laundry and making the cooking and the man reading a newspaper and taking big business decisions, you will just reinforce the stereotypes. So really, really making sure that you're breaking stereotypes in your advertising inside the company. So we do a lot of work on the culture, workshops, role modeling, recognizing the people who are consistently breaking norms and stereotypes. And last but not the least, and this is my engineering head speaking, bring the power of data. Yeah, look at who's making the appointments, who's not making the appointments. They used to tell me there's not enough women in supply chain. I would say rubbish. Here's the data. There are 3 million engineering colleges across the world. India alone produces 500,000 engineers every year, and X number of them are women. Unilever's looking for 100, 200, 300 engineers. Don't tell me this story that there are no women engineers. There's plenty out there. Go and find them. So you have to consistently break these myths that exist that talented women don't exist. There's not enough women to be found. There's not enough women who want to pursue a career. All this, you have to break these myths with data to the party, and break these myths and get people to take ownership to build a more gender balanced organization. I think one thing that works for leaders, if they have daughters, is to ask them, do you want the world to be equally fair for your daughters as they are for your sons? And that normally shifts their mindset, because they say, yeah, I think my daughter can do anything. She's as good as my son. Then are you ensuring the world is balanced and fair for your daughter as much as it was for your son? And if you're a leader and you're not doing that, then you're missing something. This is not just about companies and businesses. This is about our lives. It's about making it easier for the next generation, for our daughters and our sons to have a more fairer, more inclusive world, to pursue their dreams, to do what it takes for them to be happier people. So let me talk about my 4 lessons to women leaders everywhere. Okay. And one of them is mentoring. Big way. One is being comfortable with ambition. One of the things is, from when we are young, we are socially conditioned not to be ambitious. You know, the number of times I have heard growing up, people telling my mother, oh, tumhala don muliच आहेत, you don't have a son, you have only 2 daughters, your husband's setting up a business, who will look after it? Or things like, oh, Leena is so talented, she should have been a boy. I mean, I can't even count. It's like countless times. And this is the story of not just me. I can say hundreds of girls like me saying, okay, somehow we've been socially conditioned to believe that we are not so good enough, you know. And that social condition is not necessarily your parents and family, it's just the world around you. And I don't blame the world around us, because the world around us hasn't seen enough role models of women who are growing, climbing, making a difference. So they sort of teach you to dream small. They'll say, no, don't be so ambitious. If you're ambitious, you won't get married. If you're so focused on your career, nobody will marry you. You hear all these things. So ambition is very difficult for women, particularly. Yeah. Even today, you know, when I go to Hamleys, which is the world's most famous toy shop in the city of London, which is the most progressive city in the world, what do you see in the girls section? It's all Barbie dolls, night charming. It's makeup kits. In the boys section, it's Lego toys, science books, construction things. Even today, this is 21st century. So the social conditioning that as a girl, what is expected is you look good, you look pretty, you don't have to be ambitious, etc., is so drilled into us that we have to work very hard to break it. Yeah. So my first lesson to all women leaders is be comfortable with ambition and learn to be able to express it. You know, when I look at the sort of own wishes of my top 100, 200 leaders in Unilever, you know, men and women, almost all the men say, I'm fantastic, I want to be the CEO of Unilever. All the women say, I want to do my current job better. It's almost a stereotype that plays out, you know. But if you don't express that I want to do bigger jobs, I'm ready for more, give me more to do, how will others know? So be comfortable with ambition. Stop that inner voice in you that tells you you're not good enough, you can't be ambitious. My second life lesson to all women leaders is look for mentors and sponsors, because the influence in the world is still held by men. So you have to build mentors and sponsors, because they give you a very good perspective that is not your own. I'm so aggressive about mentors. I have at least 5 mentors any point in my life supporting me across all fields. I reach out to authors who inspire me. I reach out to leaders who inspire me, and I say, will you mentor me? And, will you have a conversation with me once in 3 months, once in 6 months? When I was junior in the company, 9 out of 10 would say no, but 1 might say yes. As I've gotten more senior, people are happy to support you, yeah, because they see the reverse relationship as well. So one of the reasons I moved from engineering to MBA was because of a mentor, Professor Tilwali, who was at my engineering college, and he said, you're going to make an average engineer, but you're going to make a very good management professional, because you really get people, you get consumers, you get, and he made me think that maybe, I want to be an outstanding something, so maybe I should do something else. So mentors give you perspective, give you advise that somebody who's with you, your boss can't sometimes, because he or she is so deep into your problems with you, your challenges with you. So my advice is just reach out to people. One simple thing I've always done is, if I've been given something big to drive, a project or initiative or transformation, I will first make a list of the people that I need to talk to because they're important for the project to succeed, what you would call the normal stakeholders that need to support your project. And then I'll make a list of unusual people, people who have nothing to do with my project, but are just interesting people I'd like to speak to. Yeah. And I want to build a relationship with them. I don't have the time to build a relationship by playing golf with them, having a beer with them, going to the pub, having dinner, because I had 2 young sons at home. I wanted to be there for my family. So I would build all my relationships through work. So I'd reach out to the 3 or 4 interesting, unusual people and say, I'm doing a very interesting project called XYZ. You have nothing to do with that, but I would love to hear your independent perspective on this. And I would send a list of questions. And as you interacted with the person, sometimes you found you had chemistry, you found that you had common interests, and then you would build a relationship. Yeah. So my advice is, look for mentors, build your network. Network is an important thing. It is network. It's work. It's not play. Network is needed for you to do work effectively, because the richness of the insights and perspectives you get from people who are not like you, who think differently, is very rich. My third advice is, build a network of women supporters. Behind every successful man, there is a very tired woman. Behind every successful woman, there's a network of women who've supported her. Yeah. So really make sure that you're investing in your relationship with your mother, mother-in-law, sisters, cousins, friends, because they really come and help and support you when you have a tough time. It's Murphy's Law. The day I would have the most important meeting would be the day my son would have a temperature in the morning. Yeah. It's just like that. It works like that. And then having a friend you can call and say, please help me. I really need to go to this important meeting. Can you just look after my son for 2 hours? Or having a mother, mother-in-law, nanny, whoever support you when everything comes together. When it rains, it pours. Yeah. You have work problems and, children having tough time, all happening at the same time. And when you have a network of people supporting you, you can share the load and try and, get through it a day at a time. And last but not the least, a personal advice, which is a life lesson and a lesson particularly for women leaders, is #self-care. Please look after yourself. Yeah, because as women and as Indian women, we always put ourselves last. You want to be the best mother, the best wife, the best daughter-in-law, the best daughter. And by the time you're done with all of that, there is no time to look after you. And if you don't have energy and oxygen, you can't look after anybody else. They tell you to put your oxygen mask first in a flight before you put the oxygen mask for anybody else. So you've got to look after yourself. You have to look at your physical well-being. Exercise 3 or 4 days a week. You have to find the time for it. The emotional well-being, doing something you love. I'm learning Spanish today. Next year, I want to learn golf. Just finding new things to do that teach you new things, that keep you going, that keep your mental and emotional well-being going. And spiritual well-being, finding the time for meditation, for prayer, for reflecting, for thinking about the week that's gone, for thinking about the things you could have done differently. I write a gratitude journal every single day where I write about the 3 things in my day I'm grateful for. And it's kept me going for the last so many years. So #self-care, please look after yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, you'll not have the energy to keep all the balls in the air and look after all the people that you need to look after. If your container is empty, you can't pour out anything to anybody else. So please look after yourself. I wish somebody had told me that is not the destination, it's the journey. Enjoy the journey. Because I think I spent too many years early in my career, very stressed about, work and, I want to be the best at everything and I want to do everything and I want to work 24/7. And I just wish somebody had told me, relax. The point is not the destination. The point is the journey and the things you learn along the way. That's what gets you going. It's the learning that gives you the joy and fulfillment, not actually reaching, and I reached this destination and I became this and I became that. Yeah. The other thing I relaxed into enjoying everything and being more purposeful about the journey much later in my career. Yeah. The second thing I wish people had told me was to be more courageous, yeah, in doing what I like, giving, I learned to give feedback maybe 10 or 12 years into my career. I had the courage to sometimes tell bad bosses that they weren't doing a great job of inspiring or motivating me. But I didn't have that courage early in my career. And I wish somebody had told me it doesn't matter, have the courage to give feedback and receive feedback, be open to it. And I wish somebody had told me, again, lessons that I learned much later, that failure is okay. Failure actually gives you an opportunity to challenge your assumptions, to leapfrog something, to reimagine something. Don't be so wary of failure. Open your arms, embrace failure. Say, okay, I failed. I got a bit humiliated. I got a bit ridiculed. Doesn't matter. Now let me use this moment of feeling low to say, how will I make this moment a moment of delight for me? How will I make this moment such a moment that 3 years later I look back and say, wow, that was a terrible failure, but I learned from it. I leapfrogged, I did some things differently, and look at how I've succeeded. So I would, so those are so enjoy the journey. Don't worry about the destination. Have more courage, particularly to take some of the difficult conversations and have the difficult conflict-laden conversations without trying to hide or pretending that everything is fine or being passive aggressive. Yes, when you don't mean it, And I wish I had been more embracing about failure. You prepare for it by first mentally imagining yourself doing it. Yeah, you have to visualize and imagine you can do it. Yeah? If you don't feel in your heart and mind you can do it and you're ready for it, you will never feel ready. You have to win in your heart before you win in reality. Yeah? So keep working through that. The second is have a huge amount of humility and curiosity. Yeah? The one thing I hope people will remember about me is I treat everyone the same way. I walk in through the door, it's the same smile and greeting for the receptionist as it is for the CEO who has his office next to mine. It's the same. I speak to everyone in the same way. For me, everyone's voice matters. I listen with the same intensity and engagement to anybody who walks into my office or otherwise. Or I walk around the floor a lot because I love people connections. I always joke that I'm the best hugger after Michelle Obama. So I keep hugging. God knows how I'll do it post-COVID. Impossible. Nobody will want my hugs. I'll be scared of my own hugs. But for me, so as to always... It's really important to stay humble and stay curious because people will tell you things. If you listen deeply, you will know about the mood, the buzz, the smell of the place. You will improve your judgment about your own decisions. Being humble, being curious is really, really important. The other is always having a future fit plan. I always have a plan. I have a 10-year plan always. This are the things I want to do. And it's not a destination plan. It's a learning trajectory plan. What skills do I want to learn? What learning trajectory do I want to go on? Yeah. Like, for example, one of my learning trajectories now is how to influence government policy to support job creation, unemployability, taking care of young people. So I sit on the business board of the UK government, which is called the BASE, Business Energy Industrial Strategy. And it's a new skill to learn. How do I know how to drive change in a company. I don't know how to drive change in the government. So it's a new skill I'm learning. So always create a learning trajectory for yourself. You have to own your own plan. Don't leave career management to the company. Have your plan and say, to do that job well, do I feel in my mind? Can I visualize it? Am I humble and curious? Am I still seeking inputs and learning every day? And make your future fit plan. What are the skills I need to learn? Okay, I need to learn more about how to bring strategy into execution. Let me find the world's experts. Let me talk to them. Let me watch internet programs, whatever it is. So always be aggressive about creating your own learning trajectory and learning for it. And always have a set of people that you can talk to and who will tell you bullshit without you having to dig hard. So always have people in your network, people who grew with you in your career, people who are friends with you, who you can phone and say, or you can talk to and say, hey, was that okay? And they'll say, no, Leena, I don't think that went well. I don't think that decision was a good one. People who will unhesitatingly give you feedback. But you have to create that environment. If they think you're not open to feedback, even the people you trust will not give it to you because they'll say, she's not open. Why should I tell her? She's just going to push it away. So really being open to feedback and creating an environment where people can come and tell you the bad news. Because good news travels fast. Everybody will come and tell you the good news. It travels like this. Something good happens, you know it immediately. But when something bad happens, they won't tell you. So creating an environment where they can come and tell you that something sucks, something is messed up. Know that this is smelly, much before it becomes smelly. You need people like that. So you have to build 5, 7, 10 people, a network of those people who will tell you the truth as is. And also stay open to feedback so that people can come and tell you that, hey, that was not great. I don't think it's one X factor, because then people will say, okay, yeah, it's X factor, it's charisma. And then everyone will say, oh, how do I develop charisma? So I think it simplifies it. I do think many of the answers I've given around humility, curiosity, openness to learning are very, very important. You have to, one of the things I learned globally, is that every culture is different. You have to remember, even when we create policies, every culture is different. You can't just drive the same thing. So for example, when we are driving inclusion, we came up with the work from home policy. Everybody can work out of home. And now we are all doing that at remote. Who would have imagined? But it's not received in the same way in every place. In Europe, people say, great, because many people have houses, gardens. It's nice to look forward to. In Japan, people said, not sure. I have a smaller house. I don't know if I want to put an office at home and work out of home. In Pakistan, some of the women said, I'm not sure because my mother-in-law stays with me. And when I'm at home, she thinks I'm available to do housework or to chat with her. It doesn't work for me. I do want to come to office sometimes. And as we are now discovering, remote working is not the same thing for everyone. It's not a joyous experience for everyone. It's different for different people. So you have to always think about the culture and the context before you position anything. Could be a policy, could be anything. The second is truly opening your heart and mind to different cultures, learning about it. One of the reasons I'm learning Spanish is we have a huge business in Latin America. And no matter what you do, when you walk into the town hall and you speak a few words of Spanish, they love you. They love you. Just sing Despacito for them and they love you because you're open to what they value. You love their language, they love their culture, you know their stories. So really, really being open. Communication is so different in different cultures. When you speak to people in India, even parts of Asia, not all of Asia, but some parts of Asia, India, Indonesia, they care more about the messenger rather than the message. If they love and respect you as a leader, they will follow you. Yeah, it's like the sun. If the flowers are attracted by the sun. So if you're a leader who exudes possibility, positivity, optimism, a sense of confidence, they will follow you. They don't really care about your specific message. So if you say, hey, my vision is to double the size of the business, they will believe you. They will say, yeah, she's a leader I trust, I will follow her. But if you try to do the same in some of the countries in Europe, you will fall flat on your face because for them, the message matters as much as the messenger. If I stand in UK and I say, okay, we will double the size of the business and just follow me, they won't. Because while they respect and like me, they want to see the plan. Tell me why I should believe you. Why will you take us to a future where the business is doubled? So you have to give your vision and you also have to give, here are the reasons why you should believe. We are going to do this differently. We're going to do this. Here's my plan on a page. Then they will follow you. Yeah. So every day being open to different cultures, knowing what works, being open to the culture, the history, the openness with which you learn what works where is really, really important. So I would say it's not one X factor, it's a combination of openness to learning agility, a sense of purpose and service. That's helped me so strong. It's given me the confidence, the determination to push through things because my purpose is to ignite the human spark to build a better business and a better world. So anything that makes a human being better, my energy is all up. Because I want the human spark to be recognized. I want human potential to be valued by businesses and boardrooms. Today, 21st century P&L, people still feature on the cost line. Really? People are just relegated to the cost line of a profit and loss statement in the 21st century? Surely we should be talking about human potential, human energy, human ideas, human creativity. But we don't know how to value it, so it doesn't sit in any business books. How do we change boards to value human potential? How do we change the world to value human beings and what they bring to the party? So that's my purpose, and that's what keeps me going. So I would say your sense of purpose, your sense of openness and learning agility, your inner game is really your X factor, your resilience, what I call the bounce back ability, the ability to bounce back from harsh comments, from ridicule, from negative feedback, from bad decisions, from failure. Your bounce back ability is part of your inner game. So it's all of that that's helped me, and it's all of that that's important. But being open to different cultures, how to navigate those cultures is really, really important. Yeah? But I would like people to say that, I haven't changed. I'm exactly who I was, always willing to be curious and willing to be humble and willing to be open. And I hope nothing ever changes that for me.